Dearest Ricky is Louisa Zondo's debut novel, and readers and critics alike have already paid a lot of attention to it. Louisa's loss was felt by millions because she is the mother of the beloved music star Riky Rick, who tragically committed suicide in 2022. However, her grief was also one of a kind, deep, lonely and life-altering. Her traumatic past was also brought to the surface when she lost her beloved Ricky. Louisa joins us now virtually to tell us more about her book. My Louisa, a very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to all of you.
Now, before we get deeper into this book and into this conversation, first of all, what really inspired you to write Dearest Ricky?
So the book is titled Dearest MaRiky because MaRiky is the term or the name that we use to refer to him in the family in a very endearing way, MaRiky.
Okay.
So Dearest MaRiky is actually a book recording the journey that I have taken as a mother through the grief, which led to also me looking at the traumas of my life and had led me to begin the journey of healing. So the very central point which led me to start writing the book is the grief from the loss of Ricky by suicide on the 23rd of February 2022. And it was quite a long journey from that point to the point of finally submitting the completed manuscript in March of this year, at the end of March of this year. So I'll basically say that that's what caused me to get onto the writing process for the book. Once I had felt the sense that I need to be sharing with others what I was going through, what I was learning, and once I got feedback just from the initial writing of posts when I was walking up Mount Everest to base camp shortly after Ricardo passed, I got a sense that a lot of people were feeling that the communication, the writing was meaningful, was helping them in some way. And so the book came out of that need as well to serve others who may be grappling with grief and trauma in different ways, and to get us talking about our stories and trying to stay on that road of healing.
Yeah.
These things in us that are not working together, and helping us to become more engaged human beings who are coping with our lives.
You know, I would imagine what a daunting task it was for you, just decoding your feelings and then reducing your feelings and your grief in a book. What is the biggest challenge you face while writing this book?
I think the biggest challenge was that in my life personally, I had a lot which was unattended to, which made it impossible for me to talk even to myself about myself, to tell my own story. It was almost too risky to go into my life in the way that would be needed if I were to share my story in a book or to share it in any form. I mean, Ricardo, while he was alive, had been asking for me to share certain things about my life, certain things about my story, which had an impact on his life. And I tried, but because I had not gone into them and brought them up and safely walked with them, it just was impossible for me to talk about my life or to look at my life. So that probably is the hardest part of writing for me, the part that I needed to go deep into myself, look at the things that were hurtful that I had responded to by shutting out and almost locking in certain spaces for them never to come out, whether consciously or unconsciously, and bringing those out. Some of them were devastatingly hurtful, looking at them and starting to learn to walk through them and to bring out a view of them that still supports me moving on and living. So writing then, I did that in very deep therapy. I did that process of learning to live comfortably even with my story. And then writing was another way of taking it out of me. So that was another pain-filled process that I went through, but it was very, very necessary and useful.
Absolutely. You and I know that one can never get over the death of a dear and of a loved one. It can even take years, but we certainly can never get over that. So since this book is a multiplicity of emotions, I mean, you're dealing with your own grief and you're sharing your own grief, and you're also sharing your own personal story for purposes of finding healing and for purposes of the readers of your book finding healing and striking some sort of resonance in this book. So would you at this point say that you have found the necessary healing and you have healed?
As you correctly put it, Simpure, it's a journey. It's ongoing.
Yes.
At points you feel you are flowing in the most, held way. You feel you are flowing and everything is in order. But of course, the next moment may be completely different.
Yeah.
So it's a continuous journey. But what I can say, and I do say it in the book, that the death of my son will always be a pain that I hold every breathing moment of my life. Yet as I walk now with it, there is room for everything else. There's room for me to confront life with joy, peacefully. And of course, all the other feelings and emotions are also naturally there. I can take pain of all sorts. I can also, there's space now for everything. And I'm more and more building my toolkit for encountering everything. But the pain is always there.
All right. And for those who would love to read this book, where can they get a copy?
So the book is available at the book launches that we're doing the rounds with. On Tuesday, we will be at Ike's Books in Morningside in Durban. And then on Wednesday at the Gateway Exclusive Books. Please do come through. Even if you haven't received a direct request from me, the invitation is open. And at the bookstores, these are also available.
All right, Louisa Zondo, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your feelings and, just your grief and your emotions with us. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Louisa Zondo shares with us how her own trauma resurfaced after losing her famous son, Riky Rick.